Oh, I can see myself now.
Oh, you can see it? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going for you. How about me? All right, guys. Let me just make sure we got volume going too.
But we don't know about the volume now, right?
No. Give me a moment, Dad.
If
But
they
I
can
think
hear us.
they probably can hear you. But I have to sign into some other stuff. Guys in the chat, like message and say if you can hear us. I'm testing out a couple new things. And I mean, you guys are used to me running a little bit late, so you know, 53 now. It's 23 minutes after. Not so bad. I had to reboot my iPad because the storage is terrible. I am never getting one with low storage ever again. Oh, Dad shut it revived. Now let me just check we have volume. All right, I hear volume. Not bad. Okay, good. We got volume going on.
So they can hear us now?
Liked and shared. Devon, thank you very much. Oh, I'm not signed in, this is why I'm getting all the ads. Skip ad. All right, wait. I only hear myself on one side. Dad, speak.
Can we start that now?
It's already started.
Okay. Let me see if they can. They should say something if they can hear us. There's no reason to.
What?
I'm sure they can hear us now.
Yeah, they can hear you.
Okay.
I think it's just coming out of one side of my
First, what I
speaker,
want
though.
to say thank you to Tara for letting me be on this program, Polish-American Brotherhood, and I would like to talk today about the problems in the world. And my four topics is problems in Ukraine, Poland, and United Europe, and of course America. So I want to just raise my opinion, okay? And I would
before you start going on there, of course, director's cut, production cues. I'm just going to do it live on the spot because we're usually live. Dad, when you're talking to the iPad, I know you're talking to the audience, and my dad's talking to you guys when he's talking to the iPad, but don't look at the iPad.
I didn't look at the iPad.
No, you're looking down. You're looking down like this the entire show. Look at the camera. That's the camera right over there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at the iPad when you wanna see the comments and the notes and everything. So.
Well, I look at it on the iPad because I want to read what people have to say.
Yeah.
You know? So it's okay. As long as they see my face and they know what I look like, you know. And I want to see if they have some thing to say about my comments. Of course, I'm going to just raise my opinion, which probably everybody might have a different opinion than I do, okay? But
we're all about our opinions.
All what I'm thinking about the problems in this world and how we can solve it. And I would like to see your opinion because I want to work on these problems with you guys, okay? And maybe you can help me with the ideas, okay? So first thing, the biggest problem right now in the world is Ukraine, and everybody knows that war going on over there. And we are on this side because it's also our problem because we are involved in this Ukrainian war somehow, okay? And Ukraine fighting also for us, for Poland and the Europe and United States, okay? That's why we shipping the help to them in a military.
So I'm going to pause you right there, Dad, because there's going to be some mixed thoughts when it comes to Ukraine. And I noticed that, of course, on the more on the conservative side, and it's by all means we should be questioning everything. And of course, I'm very skeptical whenever I see propaganda, and there's propaganda coming out on both sides, and propaganda is part of politics. If anything, it's synonymous to politics. So we'll explain also our background as to why we are also supportive of Ukraine. And of course, I know everybody here in the chat and present is always supportive of the people, regardless if they agree with how money is being spent. And that's why I'm pausing my dad right now, because we are American first patriots. So I'll present it to you, Dad. A lot of people don't agree with the money being sent to Ukraine, because they feel that the money should be spent here in the U.S., America first. We have our own problems. And then also with our, for example, let's do a comparison to what's going on in the southern border. We have our own borders to protect. So why should people support money being sent over to Ukraine, and what is the implications of if Putin takes over the world?
Well, in my opinion, if we're not going to help the Ukrainian, the Russian going to get too strong, okay? And then will be our problem in the United States if they're going to expand too much. You know, Russia is a very big country, and it can be rich. And money makes military equipment better and better. And then we're going to be in problem too in the United States if Russia going to develop system which can beat us. You know.
So you're even saying from a financial standpoint, it makes sense, because why spend $50 down the line when you can spend $5 right now? Because if we let something become a world problem, then it's going to be more costly at that point. And guys, you know, we just rebranded from the Polish-American Brotherhood. So look who you're speaking to. If Putin plows through Ukraine, who's he coming after next? He's coming after Poland. So that's another reason that my father and I, my family, are also very pro-Ukraine, other than the implications it will have further on down the line. That doesn't mean, you know, we don't question all the news media that comes out, but that's part of the reasons that my family is very pro-Ukraine, because of we're very anti-Russia and anti-Putin. Putin's been or Russia was the big brother, the Soviet comrade of Poland, and the reason why my dad's even here as a communist refugee. He was fleeing communism. So we don't want Soviet propaganda and takeover to happen to the rest of the world.
Well, don't make me wrong. I'm not against the Russian people. You know, we all alike. We should love each other, but the politicians think differently. Okay, and I was raised in Poland during that Soviet expansion, and my life was not that great under the power of the Soviets. And I'm glad I'm in America. Okay, and that's why I'm against the Putin's policy, because he has no right to invade Ukraine. Ukraine is a sovereign country, and what he did, okay, now he's killing the Ukrainian children, innocent people.
Those images were terrible.
Innocent people, the civilian, people which they have nothing to do. The 3 million right now escaped to Poland, okay, and Poland did welcome them. And I'm real Polak, okay, and I love Ukraine. I love them. I love those people. They're good people, and they want to be free, like everybody, okay. Even in America, anybody wants to be not free.
There's a true brotherhood that exists between Ukraine and Poland. And I'd like to also highlight, in terms of world responsibilities when it comes to refugees, Poland has actually taken on the crux of the humanitarian refugee with taking in over 3 million, collectively more in one country than the entire world combined. Poland has taken in the refugees from Ukraine. And actually, when you think of some of the implications that we'll have to that, like, of course, Poland is comrades and good friends with Ukraine, but with Poland taking on a lot of the strain from refugees, like its population is what, 38 million?
Around 40 million people
around
in
40
Poland.
million.
Yeah.
So you have a spike of increase of like 3 million versus, like, you know, the U.S. is almost, what's the population here?
350 million in the United States.
We're 350 million, and so the number of refugees that we take in proportion to you know, our population. I mean, granted, with a lot of them being undocumented, it's really hard to track that.
Yeah.
But
and one thing what I want to say, all the refugees which are in Poland, they have the same privileges what Polish people. They give them the jobs if they want to work. They help the children with the money. And all the hospitality they can get, all the insurances, hospitals, schools, everything is open for the Ukrainian people.
Is Poland very rich? Is that why Poland is able to take on such a sudden spike in population and able to afford providing the same type of, not amenities, but humanitarian aid, or, you know, taking care of people?
Well, Poland doing everything to make Ukrainian people feel like at home. Okay, we feel sorry for them, and you know, it's not only that we are Slavic people or something like that, but we have the same kind of ideas to run the European Union, and that's what will be the next topic for me about the problem in the European Union. But right,
I'd like to highlight on that fact that you mentioned, though, that the culture is also, and the ideas, the philosophy of Ukraine and Poland are very already similar. So when it comes to assimilation into a culture, like, it's pretty seamless in a sense, because the value systems are also the same, versus kind of, you know, I always harp on what has made America exceptional and great is the values that we have here. Now, not everybody has the same American and Western values, of course, around the world. And so when you introduce people who have very, very different values, that's how things are going to end up changing here. And I don't think, you know, some things are going to be for the better, I'll grant that, but not necessarily like for the worse. It's almost like if you have a lifeboat and too many people flood in, it's going to tip the entire lifeboat. And that's kind of like how I feel about illegal immigration versus like legal immigration. And so a lot of people are hard on me on my views when it comes to immigration, why I have such a strong like stance about it when I, you know, I'm the product of immigrants, of my father being a refugee, this and that. But when my dad came, he came through the legal way. And it's different from what I just came back from the border and for what I'm witnessing there. And I just feel that on our southern border, not to change topics on you, but like our politicians are really playing with people's lives coming through. So, but I digress. Continue on what you were saying, Dad.
okay, I want to ask, I want to answer the Mr. Flyer here. He gave a question if Russia wants to take over the whole Ukraine, okay? Mm-hmm. Originally, the plan was that Ukraine will be divided between Russia and Poland and leave some part of Ukraine, small part. But that was rejected from Poland. Poland doesn't have anything to do with taking over Ukraine. We want to just help Ukraine. So probably now the Russia want to, that was originally probably planned that they want to get the Kiev too, but they didn't succeed. So now they try to do something with the eastern part of Ukraine. But the biggest problem it is that they're not fighting the military that much like the civilians people, you know, destroying the hospitals, schools, and that's the biggest problem. And I think that in Putin's mind, it is to take over the whole Ukraine, you know. So that's really bad because they're never going to take it, you know. The Ukrainians are going to beat the shit out of the not Russian, Putin, okay? And in my opinion, why they don't, Russia won't succeed? Because there is a steady flow of military equipment to Ukraine, and Ukraine will be fighting to death, you know, and till they're going to get that Donbas area, which is the eastern part of Ukraine, and Crimea belongs to Ukraine. Illegally was taken by Russia. So that's my point, that the Ukrainians never going to give up, you know, and the only way it is to finish the war, to take back the Donbas area and Crimea and kick the Russians out completely of Ukraine. That's my opinion.
Okay, so let's take it back to kind of, if you know, to talk through a bit of the history, as you were mentioning how Crimea was illegally taken by Russia also in the past. And I have a friend that is from Crimea, and when I was sending her to, I used to run a production company where I sent girls to compete internationally, and so I was sending her as a U.S., but she had she had her green card and residency card, but now she's a citizen, so congrats to her. But I asked her if she wanted to represent Russia at the international competition, and she's like, I'd rather not go than represent Russia. And she's like, I'm from Crimea. And so in my mind, I was like, isn't Crimea part of Russia, not knowing the history behind it? But that's, you know, a girl who's actually from there who loves competing internationally. When I gave her the opportunity to represent as Russia, she wouldn't even represent as Russia because of what Russia did to her homeland of Crimea. If you can talk through some of the history as to why, because there wasn't there a time that Ukraine was heavily like armed nuclearly, and they put down their arms as part of like a pact with maybe was it the U.S. or do you know what I'm talking about, Dad?
No.
Okay, well,
Right.
that's going to have to be
You
left
could
for a DuckDuckGo check later on. But I feel as if there's something about Ukraine making the decision to disarm itself as part of a pact or a treaty with Western allies, and so that's why they are not armed. At the
Oh,
point
you're
that
talking
the war
about
had
the
started.
nuclear weapons
Yes.
that the Ukraine give up. That was part of disarm the Ukraine from nuclear because they didn't want to have a nuclear war between Ukraine and Russia. But the thing is supposed to be guarantee sovereignty for the Ukrainian if they gonna give up the nuclear power, which probably was good idea because if the Ukraine would be have a nuclear power, somebody could use it now, and right now is a conventional war, which hope that's gonna be the thing, okay. But when we talk about Crimea, mostly people should know about the history of Ukraine, that for century Ukraine was changing the hands of Mongolians, Turkey, then Russia beat the Turkey out and removed them from the
So
Crimea.
a lot of changes in the border, similar to
That's
to
why the
Poland's
people are
experience.
mixed there, and eventually, the Stalin was kind of, I don't know, he was tyrant for the Ukrainian people, taking all the good stuff from them just to keep Russia strong. And when Khrushchev took the power, in reward Ukraine for the suffering what they did Stalin to them, they gave the Ukraine to they gave the Crimea to Ukraine. And from that time it should be that way, okay. But in 2014 the Russia took the Ukraine back to them, and they think the Ukraine belongs to them, which I don't agree. The border shouldn't be changed. If there is a Russian people live in Ukraine, they don't like to be under Ukrainian rules. They have so much land in Russia that they can move over there and live peacefully, and that's what Putin
Siberia's
should
always an
do,
option.
Because he would gain more by a peaceful way of dealing with Ukraine than just sending the big military. And he should know he's never going to win that war, So.
John Hugh is saying how it was in 1994 that Ukraine had disarmed its nuclear arms program in exchange for security.
Yeah, well, in my knowledge only, I know that the Ukraine was guaranteed sovereignty through England, United States, all these countries just give up the nuclear power, So if that was the right thing to do, I don't know, you have to make your own judgment, So, but the second topic what I want to talk is also Poland, okay, because Poland joined the Union, and like everybody know, we've been under the Soviet power. So when the Soviet moved out from Poland, we joined the European Union. But you should guys know that another superpower is Germany, which wanna create the super united Europe, And I just want to explain you how
Germany's
that
behind
works.
the EU, right?
Huh?
Germany's behind the EU.
Germany is the strongest country in EU, yes, and they want to keep the power, which not every country like that. And the first thing the Britain was on the way, so they kicked them out. You know, even Britain moved on their own, but because of the Germans, you know, that they tried to rule the EU, and the position what the German is better for Germans than for England. Okay, but.
What do you mean by that? Oh, is that why? Do you think that's part of the reason why Brexit happened? And
say that again.
Brexit, why the UK
Brexit
exit?
was because of the Germans, yeah, because they couldn't agree. But British are very smart people. They move out peacefully, okay. And now Poland has the problem with the Germany, because if they want to create the super Europe, then the Germans want the rules of the whole countries, and that was not, when Poland joined the EU, that was not the idea. The idea
they're
was
changing the rules
only
again.
that sovereign country working with the economies together. German thinks now differently, and they do everything to knock the Poland down. And Poland, you know, and I don't know if you guys heard about the Smolensk. You should
was
research
the
on your
anniversary?
own about what happened in
Smolensk.
Smolensk.
Wasn't that the Russians?
Well, the Russian probably executed all the idea, but where it came from, the idea, we know, because that Germany, Russia, and they want to change the government in Poland, and by killing, by what happened in Smolensk, they succeeded to change the government in Poland, which was kind of pro-German and pro-Russian, because German and Russia, that was Merkel and Putin, tried to divide Europe between themselves and kick the NATO out. So that means kick the Americans out from Europe. And because of the Ukrainian war, they didn't succeed that. And now turning against them, because Russia has a lot of energy, which oil and gas, which they've been delivering to Europe, and Europe been dependent on it. And Poland predict that there will be problem with Russia, and they secured this with the energy, with building the Baltic pipe, which comes from Norway. So
Is this going into the 3 Seas initiative, that interlinking highway or energy system?
Well, basically the Baltic pipe is going from the Norway to Denmark and to Poland, and will secure basically the Middle Europe with the energy.
Where does Mr. PF Flyer is asking, where does Poland get its natural gas and energy from, and oil? Gas and oil.
Well, used to the whole Europe was dependent on Russian gas, yeah. But Poland didn't like that. They built first Nord Stream 1, which was going from Russia to the Baltic Sea to Germany, and of course was spreading. The Germans make a lot of money on that gas, because they selling very cheaply to Germany. But at the same time, we had also a pipeline from Russia, which Poland paid double what the Germans pay, and Poland didn't like that. And plus this, after the Nord Stream 1, they built another Nord Stream 2 pipeline directly to the Baltic Sea to Germany. And when they finished, basically the Ukrainian war started, and now Europe put a kind of embargo, you know, on the Russian goods, you know, and Poland actually supposed to block the delivery of the gas to from Russia, but the Russian did prematurely.
Because it goes through Poland.
Yeah,
It goes
yeah.
through Poland.
That was
the gas
the pipeline
goes
was
from
going.
Russia through Poland into Germany.
It used to be like that.
Okay.
Okay. The pipeline was through Poland was built through during the Soviet yet.
Okay.
I remember when I was in Poland, that was already built. Okay, But German wants to be independent, from Ukraine and Poland pipelines. So they built Nord Stream 1 and also Nord Stream 2, which bypass the Poland and Ukraine. And that was the problem. And like I said, Poland predict that, and now they are more independent from it, and the Germans give very hard time to Poland, not only to Poland, to Hungary too, because Hungary says, we are a sovereign country. We want to deal with the Germans in Europe in the same way as they deal with us. But Germans say, no, you have to kneel to us because we're the superpower. Yeah, of course, they have 80 million people. They are economically very strong, okay? And Germans are very proud people, and basically the policy should be they should peacefully cooperate with the world, especially with the United States.
Is this why when we were in Poland last year, we were seeing protests against the EU when we were in Warsaw? Because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a decision of the courts that was made that said that Polish law, the Polish constitution, which is the second constitution of the world, the first of Europe, it's the supreme law of the land. And so even if there's contradictory laws that come in through the EU to Poland, Polish law is to be the one that makes the deciding the decision and not EU law. So there were aspects of the EU laws that were not that did contradict Polish law. So they were saying that Polish law is to be reigning supreme, and so we're saying that EU law probably mirrors a lot of German law, right? Because Germany is the driving force to it.
Well, you have to understand politics in Poland, that we have two parties, okay, Law and Justice, which right now has the power, and they call Platforma.
Platforma.
Okay.
It's called PIS.
Platforma, which is a pro-German, okay, and the German try to control Poland through the Platforma party.
So the PIS party is pro-Germany or pro-EU?
Platforma is pro-German, yeah.
I thought
the German pay big money to the Platforma to keep them against the Polish government, which is
Who's the party that's in charge right now? It's PIS, right?
PIS, yeah.
PIS.
PIS.
Yes. So they're the Law and Justice Party. They're the ones in charge right now, right?
Right.
And so the protests that we were seeing then that were anti-EU, therefore, was anti-PIS, anti-Platforma.
Well, when we went to the old city, there was two. You remember we had to go around because they didn't let us from one place where the Platforma was organized.
Yeah, they didn't let us come close.
The police was barricade.
So we insisted I was a journalist.
That we couldn't pass to go to the other party. But the thing is about the European Union, that we love to be in Europe, okay? And also I want to mention that Poland have another idea together with England and United States, that they want to create the Middle Europe, and Poland is going to be like in charge of that. Okay?
Because Poland is really a rising power in
rising power, yes.
It really is a rising power.
Some of the prediction.
It's the 8th largest economy in Europe.
Yeah.
And it's not as big as some of the other countries that are there.
Well, the thing is, Poland is very well,
well
developing now, and since we have a good government now from PIS, or you call the PIS, that's not right what you're calling, but
Poland
anyway,
is a very based country,
I want to
guys.
explain what the Middle Europe going to look like, okay? There is already, they call actually 3 seas, okay? So 3 seas means Baltic Sea, Black Sea, and Adriatic Sea, okay? And already we have the members like Croatia, Romania, Czech, and we want to include also in that Ukrainian country, okay? Mm-hmm. And the thing it is, we are protected by NATO. NATO trusts Poland, okay? And Poland trusts NATO. That's why a lot of now, like...
Can you clarify that? I remember hearing that like President Trump before was trying to remove from NATO.
Oh, yeah, yeah. When
And so
President
people were
Trump
kind of
went
against
to...
that. What was that about?
When President Trump went to Brussels, which is the capital right now of Europe, okay, he complained that Germany doesn't want to pay to the NATO, and NATO protecting the Germans. And at the same time, when United States protecting the German and Europe from Russia, the Germans sent big money to Russia to buy better and better military equipment. Okay, so that's why the Russian get very rich, and all the money what from the rich coming to the military. That's what Trump was concerned about.
Okay, so it's not that he was trying to destabilize or remove NATO from it. He just wanted people to be paying their dues.
Yes, and Poland, see, we saying that it's not that rich country, but we paying that 2%. Every year 2% goes to the NATO, okay? While Germany is very rich country and they don't want to pay for the NATO. And what else? They want to remove NATO from Europe because the German, France and Italy want to create a super Europe, okay? This is the richest country. And Poland doesn't agree with that super Europe because that will take the sovereignty from the other countries. And we have to keep the culture. Of course, I feel more American than Polish now. Even I was raised and live for 20 years in Poland, and I came as a 20 years refugee from Poland, and I love America. I always love America because I had a good job and I've been always welcome to America, and I could make a better life for my family, okay? So I still have a sympathy to Poland, of course. I have still sympathy to Ukraine because this is the biggest enemy, Russia, to our sovereignty, not only for Poland, but the whole Europe. And Ukrainian fighting now for the whole Europe, you know, and Germans should understand that, you know, not supporting the Russians because they think that they can divide it only the Europe between Russia and Germans. That's the wrong idea, okay? We want to be brothers with Germans, with everybody in the world, but they have to say that we are equal partners to everything, not just dominate us like they usually did. And what happened in 1939, that the Russia and German divide us 50-50, okay?
1945?
1939, that's the pact of the Molotov pact. They signed that before the German hit Poland, they signed with Russia that they're going to take half of Poland and Russia can have another half. And the German hit Poland in September 1st. 17 days later, September 17, Russia took another half. And what they did, I don't know if you guys heard about cutting, okay? 100,000 Polish soldiers, all kind of people, intelligence, Polish intelligence, was killed in cutting in a shot in the head. And we're never going to forget to Russia this, you know.
All over when we were in Warsaw, there are memorial sites all dedicated to Katyn. I remember one that's pretty remarkable, that's inside of the church where actually Chopin's heart is also not laid to rest, but enshrined. Inside of that church, there's also a very beautiful memorial to Katyn. And then also in front of the old city, there's another memorial to Katyn. So certainly Warsaw and the rest of Poland will never be forgetting what happened in Katyn.
So basically that's what I want to talk about the European Union problem in Poland, okay? But we also, I want you to know that we have a problem in America, okay? And
What is the biggest problem in America, Dad?
two things what I'm concerned about. It is a lot of homeless people, which I was told that it's about 1 million people. And for a rich country like United States, nobody concerned about this problem, okay? The politician, they don't even want to talk. If they talk bullshit. You know, I'm not saying only one side of politician, but we have two parties, Republican and Democrats, and none of the politicians try to, from both parties, solve that problem. And second problem, maybe not everybody knows that we have retirees problems too, okay? And that's what basically I want to talk.
People are living for a very long time.
Yeah, that's what I want to.
No complaints with that one.
With your program, I would like to discuss my future project, how we can solve the problems with the homeless people and retirees. Okay, and first thing, probably we try to solve the problem with the homeless people, but simple way. The homeless people not only need the roof over their head, they need some kind to be busy with something, okay? And my idea it is if we can get them some kind of land, which we have a lot of land in the United States, and if we can buy that land for them and let them live on it, that would be a great idea. We cannot keep the homeless people on the street that they
or in the cities.
problem.
I mean,
In the
so
city,
basically what my dad is proposing, and for those of you who have followed our channel for, you know, since the inception and the start back in 2020, we're talking about the mega farm for the homeless. So the idea of this is quite similar to, in Israel, they have kibbutz. And there are actually micro farms that do exist here in the U.S. I saw articles about it that originate maybe in like San Francisco and a couple other locations, but there are alternatives to having homeless shelters inside of our cities. And so, and it's true, America, we're mostly farmland. So we have so much unused land. So the idea behind this is take some of the unused land, and you can put very simple, using shipping containers, for instance. They're actually putting those inside of the cities. So instead of putting those inside of the cities, which are cheap housing to build, why not put them outside, and allow people to be able to farm their own land, and so they can take they can, you know, feed themselves. And it, in one sense, for those who are business owners who are concerned with homeless populations being unsafe. If you're a resident, that can be unsafe to have people who are homeless around. And it's true, a lot of homeless people do have mental illness and drug abuse problems. So those are other programs that need to be supportive also in terms, but what my dad is just specifically talking about is a housing solution alternative to what we have. So rather than putting these dorms inside of the cities, why not construct them outside of the cities in some of the unused farmland? And those who want to, I guess, participate in, I don't want to call it a community, but in this project, they'll be allowed to grow their own food, and it's by choice, which is different than I know some of the feedback that I had received when I've talked about this to others is that it is a what was the phrase that concentration camp or something, I don't know, but we highlight the difference. This is a choice, and you work to eat. Like in Poland, my dad would always say, you don't work, you don't eat. And that rings true for a lot of places. And, under the guise of socialism, we'll be giving handouts. But at least this gives people a purpose. And it's important for people to have purpose because it also allows them to have a sense of dignity back, which that into a person's life is going to be able to transform a lot of things for them. So why not look into this as a possible solution to the problems that we are facing today with homelessness? I mean, I see a lot of democratic cities who tax their residents up the wazoo and have the worst homeless situations, homeless problems in America. We have in New York, in San Francisco, like, you know, the cost of everything and taxes in California and in New York, oh, let me tell you, I remember when I was living there having to pay a city tax and a state tax. So it's like, where is the tax money going that it's supposed to be going to be helping people, but then it has the worst problems? So that to me doesn't make sense. So evidently what we're doing now does not work. So let's look out to other options and explore the concept of maybe building sustainable housing cheaply built with shipping containers, which should help the environmentalists because it's reusing materials. So we're not even creating something new. It's recycling and reusing something that's already available and cheap. And then also we got the land. So let people be able to farm their own space so they can feed themselves and then therefore not rely so much on the government and take less money out of our own pockets.
Right. Well, one thing what I want to say that we can solve this problem, okay? And myself, I don't trust the politicians, okay? Because once you choose them, okay, and they get to the office, all what they thinking how to pocket the money, okay, for themselves, and then they complain how much money we spend on the homeless and stuff like that, and there is no solution for it. There is a solution, and like Tara already mentioned, they are small, but farm which the homeless live, but this does not solve the big problem, okay, and like I says, we have so much land, we can solve the problems, maybe not completely, but at least 90% by make them living on the farms.
You know, the issue is, though, with our politicians, just like anybody else who runs a business, their positions become obsolete once we solve the problem. So that's why these problems are chronic, even though they have solutions, because people benefit off of the problems for being there. If you're a doctor and you cure cancer, you're not going to have that patient come back. So similarly to society and how our politicians work, they want to keep these problems chronic. So that way we rely more and more onto the government and rely more on the handouts the government is going to be giving us. Whether at that point when you're facing death and starvation versus like relying on the government, most people are gonna choose to survive. And so that's what we're seeing in today's society. Our government is actually the enemy of the people, and that's what's chipping away at our own individual sovereignty.
Yeah. Well, my plan about the homeless people, it is that I have to open first the non-profit. If I can get, you can spread the word through your friends that I will be working on this project, and if somebody wants to donate the money to that non-profit organization, and after I can open the non-profit organization, we would like to contact the richest people in, and if they can give us the money, at least to build the first model of that project for the homeless and see how it works, okay? Then we can show, hey, this project is working, okay? We can solve this, okay? But we have to start somehow,
What I like also, the project like this is because, as I've been exploring more and going on the ground from place to place and becoming very more disenchanted with our government, and I would say, I'm probably more an anarchist these days mentally, not from the position that I think we should ever use violence to overthrow a ruling body or justify the use of violence to accomplish a goal. That's terrorism. But the idea that my dad's proposing and not involving the government into it is a community taking care of its own people. Families should take care of their own people. Community should be taking care of their own people. Government needs to stay out of it. The government shouldn't be telling us what to do with our bodies, with making us get vaccinated, telling us what if we have to wear a mask or not. Those are individual personal choices that we have to make for ourselves. How we should be running our businesses, how we should be raising our children. That's not for the government to be deciding. So the more that we're able to rely less and less on the governing party, it takes away power from them and puts power into the people. And so a project like this is going to put more power into the people to taking care of its own community. And so I'm not for forced distribution of wealth. That's why, who likes taxes? Phil, actually, my older brother said, I like paying taxes. I'm like, oh my God, you're so far gone now. But that's why I don't, like, even the concept of taxes, like, you have to do it, but it's a forced redistribution of wealth. I think that to whom much is given, much is expected. So when you are in a fortunate position in life, like, you should be taking care of those who are less fortunate. Because in our society, like, and the way I would evaluate any society is not on how well we do or how wealthy of a nation we are, but how good do we take care of those who are less fortunate, to those who are most vulnerable. For example, even with now following the recent couple of weeks following the abortion issues and everything, who is most vulnerable? The most vulnerable in our society are unborn children. They have no voice. And so how well we take care of those who are voiceless is the measure of how great our society is. So in terms of making America great again, this is a project that can help make America great, because it will make great Americans and take in less dependence on the government. We take responsibility for ourselves, for our own family, for our own community. So I think this is a fantastic idea, Dad.
Thank you, Tara. And I want to mention too that right now America make the great China. All the money goes to China, and you see how China is developing with all that beautiful projects. Why don't we create in America beautiful projects? I just don't understand,
Yeah, they don't really have homeless there.
Eventually, if I can get open that non-profit organization, I will talk to Elon Musk, because he's the genius in my mind. He can solve all these problems. Okay, and just think, if we build the farms for the homeless people, they can be plus to the United States, because they can grow the trees. They can, which is so good
for those who are into climate change and everything, and in the environment, they'll be growing trees.
If I look at China, how they green the China now from the desert turning to beautiful trees, beautiful farms, Can we do that too? And the homeless can help us, okay? And I want the government stay out of the homeless problems, because all what they do, they make the rules which sometimes the homeless don't like it, okay? They can rule themselves. We don't have to spend, once we build that project for the homeless, they can rule themselves. They can make own laws over there. Of course, if they're not going to behave well, the police have the right to get in and remove that person.
We're not talking about setting up. We're not talking about setting up an autonomous zone, guys. So let's not go there when we're talking about, like, it's just taking personal responsibility, but operating within, of course, society, that you're not harming other people. So that's what we're talking about. There's not going to be any Chad zones that we're talking about forming.
But I don't know, the Polish government, when they came, the Law and Justice, the changes in Poland are enormous, okay? All what they do, they manage the money correctly, okay? They're helping the people in the needs, and that's how the country grows. And we don't have to keep the homeless people in the cities. We can put them on the farms, so they can be useful to us, to the United States of America, the greatest country in the world. That's why I'm here, because this is the greatest country in the world, and I love this country. And I want to do something about to help the United States to solve the biggest problems in America, which is the homelessness, and also the retirees has some of the problems too, which it's a bigger project with the retirees, so that would be secondary. If I can succeed with the homeless, I'm sure it's going to be easier for me to succeed with the other project with the retirees.
And LAF is even saying how providing the homeless with jobs is an A+ idea. I mean, it's the simplest of solutions. If we are able to provide a role for people who don't have roles. And so again, with providing a person a purpose internally it gives them a sense of dignity, which is a very powerful feeling when you empower another person. You give them their power back. So that is what this project also talks about, is like by giving them roles to play in society. And so when people play roles in society, it gives them a stake in society. So they're going to want to make things better in our community and in society because they're a stakeholder in it. And they feel a part of it because we're communal creatures. We want to belong to something. And so homeless are often the outcasts of society. And so, but they still need to have a place. The same thing as even people who go to prison and come out. Like, often if felons and people who have served their time for crimes that they've committed, when they exit out and they have no role, guess what? They're going to go commit another crime and then re-enter into the prison system. So we have to find roles for everybody to be a participant into society. And so that's going to come with abstaining from our own sense of judgment. So that's why it's important to still be taking care of prisoners who come out of jails, to be taking care of homeless who may have mental health issues or drug abuse problems. If you don't help them, like regardless of if you agree with what they did or not, and some people have done bad things, I'm not saying that, but they're going to end up doing it again. They're going to end up hurting other people. So if we can get everybody to become productive participants and stakeholders in community and in society, and find them a place that they're able to do a good, then we as a society can progress and do good and keep the government out of it.
Well, let me explain you, because some people asking that the homeless people has a mental problem. That might be true, but don't forget, mental problems comes for not properly nourish your body, okay? The brain is not working. The brain needs a good minerals and vitamins, which the homeless doesn't receive, mostly because they don't have a knowledge too, okay? And placing them on a farm where they can get better nutrition by raising chickens, by raising goats, which goat milk is very good for them,
it's
growing own vegetables, you know, that will be beneficial for their brain, and maybe they can cure themselves, and maybe they can return to like a normal people to society if they getting better themselves. But at the same thing on a farm, very cheaply we can educate them how to grow their own food, how to take care of themselves. There is a lot of opportunities for them, and keeping them on the streets, especially, just think, you have a business and the homeless people put a tent on the front of you and you cannot do anything about it. Maybe they pee on it or shit on it on the front of your business. Then you would concern about what to do with them, right? So that's why we have to think, you know, how we can prevent from growing to be a bigger problem, because you have to know that with the genius brain like Elon Musk, the robot's going to take over our jobs, and maybe you're going to become homeless, you know.
No, that raises a very valid point, because the way our society, of course, is changing with technology. A lot of jobs become obsolete, and so if you may not be concerned about it right now in your immediate life, it's something that can possibly happen to you. I know back when the recession hit, for instance, that was when I was competing in the Miss America system, and one of my good friends who went on to win Miss Florida, her platform was the changing face of the homeless, and that's because a lot of women and children are finding themselves in position of being homeless. Because with the recession, everybody, you know, the bubble hit, people lost their income, their jobs, and their homes. So when we think of homeless people, we may think of only drug abusing men or mentally ill people. That's not necessarily true. And so we have to still abstain from our judgment about it. And, you know, to circle back is think of what a sense of LAF had said, think of what dignity, productivity, and a sense of belonging would mean to a person. It changes your life. It changes the track that you're on. And America is a land of second chances, and I think I do actually agree with that, because I think in terms of the human experience, we're always evolving, and people have made mistakes. I think for people who have ended up homeless and everything, like, yeah, often they are there out of the choices that they have made in life, but who hasn't made bad choices, and who has a safety net to prevent them from becoming homeless? And so I used to volunteer at the Coalition for the Homeless here in Orlando, and I would never see an Asian person there. And part of that being is because the Asian culture operates in terms of extended family, so you'd have somebody that would take you in. But when you don't have anybody, and you just become part of the system and everything, you'll fall through cracks. And once you're in the depths, those deep rings, how do you actually break out of it? Because homelessness and poverty is cyclical. So in order to jump out of it, like, it's difficult. And the way that our government even operates our welfare programs, it's intentionally designed to be keeping people down. And let me elaborate from that point. It's because, so I remember when I was a college student, I became very close to a family that I used to volunteer teaching dance at a low-income middle school. And so a family that I became very close with, that the mother was on welfare, like, she faced if she were to get a job and go off of welfare, she would be earning less than what she was earning, what she was getting on welfare. And so now she's going to, as a single mother, she would have to be working less time with her 2 children, earning less. And like, what position does that put a person in? They're not going to choose to end up going and getting a job when it means taking in less money, having less time with their children. You just end up being stuck in that situation. And so our welfare programs, among other programs, are designed, these government handouts are designed to keep people on the plantation and and stuck on them, because you're stuck between a rock and a hard place once you're into these programs. And so, I don't have the solutions for redesigning welfare by any means, but you guys have to open your eyes to anything that's a government handout. There's nothing that is a free lunch. It's intentional to keep you dependent and need of it. So the government actually is the worst drunk. If you are suckling at the teeth of the government, you're never going to get off it. And instead, now we have more people encouraging people to be getting onto these government programs, as opposed to personal responsibility. So, just to circle back from, I love saying circle back ever since Jen Psaki, to my dad's original point of with the, I totally lost my train of thought, but the original point that we have with creating a program like this is people are going to be able to do it for themselves.
Well, it's not only homeless people, but also there is a lot of prisoners, which are peaceful people and with big knowledge, educated people, which don't belong to the prison, and we have to pay big money. What I understood that one prisoners a year cost the government 100,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Okay, when we can make the prisoners peaceful prisoners. Huh?
These prisons are privately owned. They want people to be in jail.
Yeah, but they cannot make it on a big scale too. So we can use those peaceful prisoners to help the homeless people, with more education and stuff like that. So and that wouldn't cost the government that much. Mm-hmm. I mean, government taxpayers. Okay?
Yeah, it's true. Education is key, and the stuff that they're teaching us now, instead, they're not teaching us how home ec is gone. They're not teaching us how diet and nutrition and personal finances. Those aren't the courses that are being taught in schools. Instead, we're taught about gender studies and using the proper pronouns, or not even proper pronouns. That's not a thing. Grammar's out the window. But using acquiescing to people's choices of pronouns. So that's what our education system seems to be focused on. Instead, we should be bringing back financial programs, or actually, I don't even think financial programs was a thing. When I was growing up, there was no financial literacy or financial responsibility programs, but they should definitely be a thing. The home ec is something that has disappeared. A lot of my friends don't know how to cook. And I'm really surprised about, no, I can't say that I'm surprised about it, but like, I know how to cook, my brothers know how to cook, my dad will say real men do the cooking, and everyone in my family is excellent cooks. When you're not even able to do something as basic as cook for yourself, you're not able to take care of yourself whatsoever. And then everything's going to stem from the food that you're putting in. And so that's why when people are able to even raise their own garden and their own food, and so that's healthy food going into their systems, that your mind's able to think so much more clear as opposed to being pumped with drugs, which then support the pharmaceutical industry, which again is another enemy of the people.
Yeah, it's basically the knowledge how you taking care of yourself, because if you don't put the right product in your body, that's mean your body will suffer. And then if you don't know, you're gonna run to the drugs or kind of prescription pills and stuff like that, and you're gonna ruin yourself more and more, okay? And then you're going to end up homeless because nobody wants you.
Exactly, you're going to end up homeless because you're going to end up becoming psychotic from all the pills that they're pumping into you, from being overprescribed stuff that benefits the pharmaceuticals instead. You know, we could actually take down a lot of the antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications that's out there if people went outside and enjoyed sunlight, because those and worked out, because those are happy hormones that go into your body naturally from working out, from being in the sun. The sun is a better antidepressant than any pill that you're going to be taking. And so all of this, you know, kind of stems into where people are going to end up being homeless.
Yeah, I can even tell you on my own experiences that when I came to this country, okay, I ate a lot of junk food, okay, and my body was deteriorating more and more without knowing why. When I was in Poland, we didn't have a refrigerator, so we've been forced to eat the fresh product from the farm.
Yeah.
Okay, and I feel healthy in Poland. When I came here, I like the junk food, okay, but that deteriorated my body. And believe me, I was 50 years old, looks already like maybe 80 or something like that. Now I'm taking care of better of myself, and I feel much better than I was 20 years old.
Yeah,
You know, so.
I definitely feel better when I get those precious days at home and I can have my dad's like cooking, as opposed to when I'm out and about. Though that's something I'm going to be like a lot better on, because my lifestyle has really turned into being on the go and and traveling. So I do need to personally make the time more to be working out, and also grocery shopping and preparing my own food, because I'm in it for the long game. And if you wear your body down with not working out and not taking care of yourself and not eating right, like you can end up with a lot of medical issues. Like a lot of my friends who are in their 20s, I say to them the way that their habits and what they do to themselves in their 20s, all of that starts to show in your 30s, and for the most part will set the direction that your health is going to be on for the rest of your life.
And when you look at me and you see the bald head, that's because I ate too much junk food. And the next programs, if Tara let me, I'm going to try to educate you what to put in your body and how to stay more healthy while you're still young, okay? And so, you know, everything in your body is that DNA, which when you don't put the right product, the DNA not working properly. Every hair on your head is a part of the DNA. And hopefully I can also tell you what I'm doing to stay more healthy and stronger. Some people, even younger, they complain that they don't have enough energy. Mm-hmm. And I'm 73 years old and I'm getting energy like I was 20, okay?
Yeah.
Like I left just Poland with that healthy food from the farm.
That's true. I know in the past some of you guys have said that we have to do some Polish cooking for you. Absolutely. So definitely have to do some Polish programming for cooking and other activities. You guys have seen that I haven't done a live with you guys in a long time to just kind of chat like this. But you guys see we've rebranded. We are no longer Polish American Brotherhood that is parked elsewhere. We are on the ground with Tara, because like, really what I do is on the ground streaming at the events that are important in life and giving you guys an alternate uncut view of what's happening on the ground, as opposed to what the mainstream media is going to be telling you and slicing out into a narrative. You guys can watch it for yourself through my lens and decide for yourself. But of course, I'm keeping the name PoAm there because it's quite endearing when people call me PoAm in the title for it. But I have not abandoned my Polish heritage very clearly, and we will be doing some Polish programming still on this channel, but I'll be parking it also like elsewhere and everything. And we got a lot of good things coming. We got a lot of good things coming once I can kind of organize my life. I'm not turning the camera around because my studio is an absolute interesting spectacle at the moment. But yeah, I've been on the ground basically straight through since I got back from England. I'm leaving for Germany tomorrow, so I'll be out and about again. Be covering some stuff. There's stuff going on over in Leipzig and also Dresden. So I am heading out there. If that doesn't turn out to be anything, then I'm on vacation. But I think we're going to get some interesting action of what's going on. If you go onto Twitter, you can see what's going on in Dresden right now. They're doing a trial for, it's under the hashtag #FreeLena. But basically one of the comrades are in jail right now for some violent actions, and they have announced that they will be doing, a direct action gathering in Leipzig the Saturday following the verdict, whether it is a not guilty or guilty verdict that comes out from this trial. So I'm going to go follow on the ground in front of the Dresden courthouse. They should be having some key testimonies on Thursday. So we're traveling tomorrow. I'll be in Dresden. Everything fine by Wednesday night. And I think it's the protests are going to begin at like 8:30 in the morning, though on Thursday, which is going to be probably around like 1 a.m. our time in the U.S. But if I can get my live view working, I plan on streaming there. Hopefully I can stream it out. So otherwise, it'll take forever if I go to editing. But that's going to be my plans for the next week or so, is to be covering on the ground the anti-fascist activities going on in Dresden and Leipzig.
Well, John W., he says sausage and sauerkraut will keep you thin. John, I want to tell you from my experience, sausage is good, and Polish sausage especially, okay? Because if you buy the Polish sausage in supermarket, it's no good. I bought it a couple times and I throw it out because I couldn't eat that. If I'm buying a Polish sausage, I'm going to Polish store or European or German store.
I feel that the food tastes so much better outside of the U.S. because it's not processed. Everything's fresh.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you remember when I bought it, even the ground beef that was in Czech Republic, and my wife, she says, Tara, that tastes much better than here,
Yeah,
But anyway, John, you mentioned about sauerkraut. Yeah, well, sauerkraut gives you vitamin C during the winter time, and that's why it's good for you. Okay. Mostly,
also, that it's pickled. Actually, pickled food is very healthy for you. That's why, kimchi and also a Korean diet that has a lot of pickled. It has to do with what the probiotics that go into your gut.
You have to eat a lot of probiotic.
It's related to your gut health, which is the center actually in terms of what you eat. Your gut is going to determine a lot of your stress and your reactions to the environment.
The immune system, 80% immune system is in your gut, okay? And the good bacteria you can get from the probiotic. And that's why if you have healthy gut, you basically good, better to resist all the germs and the other stuff. You're going to stay more healthy, okay? But when you live in a cold country, basically sauerkraut will be good for you during the winter time to supply you with the vitamin C. Of course, today is not that bad like it used to be during when I was in Poland. There was no oranges or lemons, to support your body with vitamin C. So only one way to support your body with vitamin C was sauerkraut. And I don't know if you know, the centuries ago, the one thing to support your vitamin C for the sailor was sauerkraut. Yeah.
It's also with the fermentation process of it doesn't spoil as quickly, right? That it doesn't spoil as quickly because it's
sauerkraut doesn't spoil.
Yeah.
No, you can stay all.
John News, you're asking if I know the history of the World War II history of Dresden, Germany. So I have been to Dresden one time in 2018. 18 with my dad. We were there for maybe 2 days, 3 days. So I'm a little bit familiar with how it was completely destroyed during the war, and it was now it's beautiful. It's been rebuilt to what it looked like prior to the war. I'd have to dive in further to remember the exact things that happened in Dresden, but I do know it was completely demolished or annihilated from during the war. I remember actually the first time I heard of Dresden was one of my favorite books is by Kurt Vonnegut, Slaughterhouse-Five, and Dresden is alluded quite often and referenced in that book. So that was the first time I heard of it, and it's a beautiful city. So I do look forward to going there and mixing reporting on the ground for you guys with sightseeing.
Yeah, John, you're saying that you live in Detroit and Henshamming area. Yeah, I know a very good Henshamming area because I used to live in Windsor, and of course every Saturday we went to Polish club for dancing in Henshamming, and they have the best sausage over there, Polish sausage. So you are like my brother because you're part of a Polish area community. So that's kind of funny, but anyway.
Dad, did we cover everything that you wanted to on your
Yeah, for today, and we can continue that. Hopefully Tara will do more often this live, and we can get more subject how to help the solve the problems. It's not only with the homeless or the retirees, but also I want to hear from you guys about solving the problems in Europe and the whole world. So that's why it's going to be PoAm World News. That's what I'm going to call that, and give you the best thing about the what's happening in the world, and if we can teach you how to stay younger,
Yeah, so we're adding on the ground. Our segment that I'll be running with my dad is going to be PoAm World News. So that's one of the things that we will be building out as part of our own repertoire of independent media housed here on the ground with Tara PoAm. And I guess with that, we're going to go ahead and close things off. Again, be sure to like, share, and subscribe this channel, guys. That will do me a solid for, of course, that is a lot of effort to be helping me for my effort and helping the channel grow. I'm definitely investing a lot of time and effort. So is my father with helping me with this endeavor. And when you guys send me financial support with super chats, it shows that you're supporting my work. I don't really use the term donations because it's not really a donation. It's supporting the work that I do put into this programming, and Of course, it costs a lot to be on the ground. We're not going to sugarcoat that, and I'm happy to do it for you guys. And of course, I'm doing it for myself because I want to bear witness to history, and I don't want to get my news from secondhand sources. So I'd rather get it from myself on the ground, and I'm just simply sharing with you guys what I'm capturing on my lens. So this is still something I'm going to continue going forward on. But again, thank you for all those who have financially supported my work. I'm really excited to be releasing some of the long edits that I will be putting out. I have one out there for those who haven't watched it yet. Please be sure to check out the Border Crisis docu-series that I'm starting. It's not just going to be border crisis. It's going to be all of America's issues. But I have one long edit out there, and that is the one that was for my first travel to Eagle Pass. I am still editing one that is for Uvalde, which is probably about five different segments. Those long edits will come out as I'm able to, sit still and edit them. When I'm on the ground, my priority is out there streaming what's going on. So, you guys are able to tune in and see everything happening as it occurs. And then for the documentation part of history, I'll be able to go back and create these long edits. And I'm really finding my passion is for becoming more of a documentarian, and in addition to being a video journalist out there for you guys. So once again, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be sure you hit that notification bell, because I don't think a lot of people get notified when the channel does have something going on. So be sure you hit that little bell and hit all, not the personal one, it's the top button. So with that, you'll be able to get the notifications. Hopefully, I mean, you know, the channel is shadow banned from what I'm told. That or the content's not good. I don't know. We'll figure it out together, guys. But nonetheless, like, share, subscribe. The links for my Patreon and for my Cash App and my Venmo are all listed below. Thank you again to the mods that continuously are joining in all the time. Devon, your old faithful. Snooks, old faithful again. And for promoting, sharing my work out there on social media, and then also sharing the links to, again, financially support the channel. Any closing thoughts for this evening, Dad?
Well, I just want to say, if you want to donate for the homeless 501c non-profit organization, you have to mention that that's the money goes towards separately from Tara. Okay.
Don't donate yet to that cause yet, because that one we're going to be establishing as a 501c3, like legit organization. So any cash that you're sending now is supporting the channel. Let me be clear about that part. And so that's not a charity. That's just, you know, financially supporting the work I'm doing. So, but things are going to be happening with my dad's project and putting this together as a formal organization or chapter, so that way we can start reaching out to people to make this happen. Myself and my dad, we're creators and thinkers, but am I realistically going to be able to go out and grab a piece of farm and get people to be going there? No. So this is a project that is going to be a long-term project that we're going to have to get people to be involved in. So I know my dad's ultra eager about that, but I'm just putting it out there. Any financial support that comes this way is supporting on the ground. Dad, thank you for being a guest on the ground.
And we have to make sure that when Tara gonna make that time to start the program, it will be at the time when she, not 5 minutes or 10 minutes late, okay? If it's 9:30, it has to start 9:30, so she have to prepare themselves with all that program.
I know, there's a lot to do.
Okay?
I gotta
not
show
just looking for the connections and stuff like that.
Everything is like in disarray.
Okay.
So even right now, I'm actually streaming from a new toy that I got. I have a Sony RX02 Mark II. So that's the new little gadget I have, and I'm testing it out because it's going to be my on-the-ground camera, because it's very tiny. It's smaller than a GoPro. I'm so happy, and it's built like a brick. So that way, if anybody comes at me, I don't have to worry about my gear being smashed, because they like to smash cameras in a lot of the environments I go out to. So I'm super excited about that. I'll share with you guys a little picture that I had, if I can find this thing. The other day, so I have my little black block, and I don't think we only got 27 people watching right now. I don't think any Antifa people are watching. But I was like, how are you going to be fashionable at the same time? Like, I don't know if you guys can see this. But I was joking around, and I put a belt. I was like, that's my black block attire. And I'm like, oh, how do you be fashionable in black block? And my dad looks at me, he's like, what are you doing? Are you Antifa now? And I'm like, I am absolutely not going to dress in black block and infiltrate a potential riot that's going to be happening in Leipzig. Not at all. No way would I ever be there. You'll find me at the bar at the Ritz-Carlton. Never at a fiery but peaceful protest going on at any part of the world, right? Oh, we just got a super chat.
Thank you, Noam.
Who is he? Noam de facto. Thank you very much for sending a super chat through.
Thanks a lot, and we promise we're going to try every day, come with the good ideas how to help the homeless, retirees, and solve the problems in the world. Of course, we don't have too much influence, but if we can make that programs, will open eyes what the world looks and what they need, okay? Because we cannot let the China to run the world, okay?
Oh, that's for sure.
We are the dominant country, which we have to make sure that the earth is safe from any problems, especially in the United States, okay? We are Trump supporters, but we support any good people in this world who try to make the differences. And especially, I have to tell you, I love Elon Musk, okay? The genius. He's a great man. And
famous last words of the evening, right?
you know, I'm not a good outspoken person, okay, and he's not, but his brain is a genius, okay, and that's what I like about him. Hopefully someday I can, with Tara, make an interview and show him my project, what I want to do, and he can help me to solve the problems with the, at least with the homeless.
Again, guys, like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for any financial support that you guys send me either through Super Chats or directly through Venmo and Cash App. To wrap up the evening, again, we covered starting with our opinions when it comes to Ukraine. Ukraine's now entering into the 6th month of the war. There's been devastating footage that has come out showing how children are being killed. At the end of the day, Putin can't win. I know we don't trust people who we perceive as our enemies of what they support when I'm talking about the liberal left, but you want to think independently, so that doesn't mean doing the opposite of the person that you dislike. So again, do your own research and find out what's going out there. Don't adopt the opinions of others. You know, don't take my word for it. And so, Dad, thanks for coming on to the program. We're going to be establishing PoAm World News to be covering different segments of what's going on, not only here in the U.S., but also internationally, because it'd be great to pull together all these ideas. We also cover talking about my dad's idea for a mega farm for the homeless, which, guys, we gotta make this happen. If we start helping the people who are at the bottom rungs of society, we'll see a lot of our issues and problems that we have start to clear up from the top as well. And so why not give people a sense of dignity and a purpose in life, to be active, to taking care of themselves, but also being productive, to giving back into a society and helping make America great again in its true essence. So remember, America first, make America great again. Thanks for joining us for this first pilot run of PoAm World News. And with that, I'll go ahead and stop the button.